Hello, Renee Flamond here. This is a topic I get approached a lot on this. I get asked this question a lot. Don't they just want what we all want? And there's a spectrum of what one person wants and another person wants. But generally, I think, falls into three categories. We all want health. My wish for everybody is health, happiness, and being in love if they want that. Not everyone does want, but health, happiness, and being in love if they want it for 100 years. For everybody. Natural order of death, done. Right? Wouldn't that be lovely? Love it. Fantastic. Unfortunately, people's lives go through ebbs and flows, and we don't, we have trials and tribulations with any one of those three compartments, and they don't all work together in a way that goes according to plan. However, for the most part, somewhere on that spectrum of those three things, we all exist. And your idea of happiness is different from my idea of happiness, and you know what I mean? But somewhere on a non-disordered level, you can find some normalcy amongst the rest of us in what we think that would entail. The way that the narcissist lives their life is nothing at all to do with any way I would ever want to live my life. So to say, don't they want what we all want, it's a long answer. The bottom line, though, is no, they don't. They're disordered. The consistency, the safety, the security that, again, I think the majority of people seek in the health, happiness, and being in love categories. I think the majority of us seek that peaceful place, not the chaotic mess, okay? So I'm making a leap here, but call me crazy. So that harmonious environment that we seek is exactly what the narcissist would be bored with, couldn't deal with, would feel cringy and not worthy of, would have to blow it up, would have to create turmoil. The very nature of the peaceful existence that most of us want is against what they want. And it's hard to believe, I know. I used to go, ew, you want that kind of life at your age? You have grandchildren. Don't you want to have consistency? Didn't matter what I said. I said a lot of things that made a lot of sense. Whoosh, whoosh. Don't care. They can very easily make one move left and one move right and get their life on track. Anyone can. They don't want to. And I'm fascinated by how that disorder guides them that much. I'm fascinated by no matter how good they had it, they want more. They're seeking the end all, but will never get there, and hence always will suffer. They teach you in Buddhism that you'll perpetually suffer if you are never satisfied with what you already have, like in the present day. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be happy and seek a satisfaction where you currently sit. The narcissist is, well, first of all, they're always tales of woe, tales of yesteryear, regaling themselves yesteryear's behavior, or this is going to happen in the future. This is going to happen in the future. They're chasing, and trying to relive their old glory days of their own mind. So when that happens, you have to realize they are never in their present moment. They will always suffer. And this is how I explain it to people when they're like, what does that mean? Like in Buddhism, what does that mean? This is how I explain it to people and they get it, or they've gotten it before very easily, because I didn't understand it and I had to wrap my brain around it. This was 30 years ago, but I finally got it. Say you live in a neighborhood. I might have even said this in a video before. And you have friends and they're always talking about their neighborhood. And their neighborhood, let's just say, okay, so their neighborhood's here. And I want to get into that neighborhood. And you're the person that says, I want to get into that neighborhood. I want to get into that neighborhood. And you're suffering. You're missing days in your own house, not being happy in your own house because you're obsessively every night looking online, waiting for a home to come up, and blah, 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 and that's your whole life. And then boom, okay, so now you get it. So you spent this time suffering. Now you're here. Guess what? Now you're suffering. You know why? Because this is the starter home in this neighborhood, and you want this house in this neighborhood. So you go through the same thing again, and you're missing life here. Then you finally get here, and it's, they're building a new neighborhood across like, I'm telling you, they're suffering constantly. Like, how could you, I can't imagine going through life with that thirst unquenched. Like they're never, ever, 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 ever going to have a satisfied feeling in their life. So they go around with a stature that they envisioned for themselves, never having come to fruition, and yet they're still walking around the earth, still sadly thinking it's coming. Oh my God, it's so sad. Mine used to tell me right out, he used to say, chasing the money. I'm chasing the almighty dollar. He had visions, grand visions of where his life was going to take him. He's nowhere. That's why they'll always suffer. And so then again, you might say, so then why don't they just want a settled life? Their disorder dictates that they cannot have a settled life. Like, how could they do it? Why don't they want this? Or how at age, 50 or 60, do you feel like running around? They're compelled by their disorder to run around. And I don't think they probably feel like it half the time, which is when they're exhausted and home and tired and hating their life and reaching out. They'll do all their indiscretions by telephone from the comfort of their couch. You know what I mean? Like if they didn't manage to get out that night or whatever. They get tired, I'm sure, but then they spring right back into action because they get a little charge one time when they're out. Somebody looks at them the right way, boom, they can start another cycle. It's a terrible life for you and me, but to them, they're chasing something and they envision that there's going to be an end, and like a rainbow, end of the rainbow. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether it's money or the ultimate girl. You may have been the ultimate girl. You might have been the ultimate girl. I don't know if they're thinking, mine definitely had a vision of himself, this old man on some MTV video yacht with young, like, are you kidding me? I almost said broads, but I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because broad to me is Betty Davis, like a strong dame, like a legend, like Katharine Hepburn. These were broads. Jane Fonda, she's strong, these people, right? I'm not talking about politics, but these sturdy women that have been in Hollywood all these years and you know what they had to put up with, that's a broad. I don't mean it as an insult. But that's how they picture themselves. I was going to use it that way, but they picture themselves in like an MTV video. That's what he thinks his life is going to be one day. He's 63. He's still chasing it. How do you feel like it? Look, they need supply constantly. They're not going to have enough interaction with people to get the supply they need if they become a homebody and they're in the house with you, raising the family, being the good husband, the good family man, and being around. Even a covert narcissist needs to get his supply hit, so he's doing something. This disorder compels their behavior and their desire, and it tricks them into thinking they're happy for a little while until they crash, because that's not a sustainable life. So eventually the people fail. I've seen my narcissist over the 2 years I've known him, his friends have shifted like 6 times. 6 different groups of friends that he's hung around with for a few months here and a few months. 63 years old. You don't have, homies, like kumads, like friends, like a pack? Or people that have been in your life for decades consistently? No, it always shifted depending on where he was hanging out. That doesn't last. That's not a sustainable happiness. or any kind of consistency. These people are passing in the night. They pass each other in the night through phases of their life where they happen to hang out in the same restaurant. Boom, they get to know each other. They hang around for 6 months and they all move on to the next person. It's a terrible life. I've watched them do it. It's terrible. These are grown people. They don't want what we want. That is the entire point. They're disordered into chasing and thinking that they will find something that will make them happy. And they will never be happy. Because nobody ever finds the ultimate like that. Like, what are they looking for? There's no one person that would ever satisfy them. And there's no, I don't think even a lifestyle that they wouldn't mess up. If it were handed to them, I think they would squander the gift of it somehow and mess it up. They have a sense of entitlement. They take what they want when they need it. They don't follow the rules in life with the little things. You think they'd follow a rule with the big thing, like owning a home or running a business? These are the kinds of people that are going to cut corners and do things illegally and try to beat the system, and that's a terrible life. I would never want anything to do with that kind of life that they lead. I don't know how they sleep well. But they don't want what we want. They don't want the normalcy and the consistency. Even if they say out loud that they do, that's just to make themselves sound normal for a little bit, to fit into whatever societal function they're in. Do you know what I mean? If they're in a family setting, they're going to play that they're also a family guy, and they might talk about their kids, or they might treat you in a way, in front of your parents that makes him look familial and all this. They don't want that life. Never did. The whole thing was a show. The whole thing was a show. Oh, yeah. They want disorder, chaotic messes. Their ideal, in my opinion, from what I've learned, seen, read, watched, is that they like a base of operation, which is why they continue to get married or try to get into a relationship, because there's got to be somebody against whom they're committing all these transgressions. Otherwise, they're just bouncing from one relationship to another to another. They're not really having the chance to triangulate anybody good if they're not in a solid. So they always try to approach it as they're going to get into a relationship with this person, and it lasts for a little while. They're not just players bouncing around sleeping with whomever they want. Oh, no, 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 no. They lure you in. They make you think that you're going to get the life that you want and envision. They don't want it. They just wanted to make you think you could have it. Gives them power to do that and see you fall for them. So that gives them a charge, and boom, the cycle is started. And then you're going to get so into them that they know how far they can make you fall. And believe it or not, that's another charge they get. That's not a life that leads you to any kind of life that a normal person would want. And again, by normal, I just mean non-disordered. We all have things wrong with us. There's no perfection normal. Those words are very subjective. But my God, you could be non-disordered and be respectful of people, right? Of course, and honest. These people, they're going to go through life this way with every aspect of their life. And they're okay with it. So if you said to them, look, if you behave this, and this way, straight and narrow, blah, 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 you'll have everything. They still couldn't do it. They're going to step out and create havoc. They want the havoc. So I just caution you, because a lot of people, they stay in it thinking they're going to see that they want this. They're going to wake up. I did. I kept thinking, well, he'll catch on that his life stinks. He'll catch on. That stinks. I'll let it go for a while. He'll be back. He'll catch on. No, he didn't catch on his life stinks. He was reaching out to get a hit of narcissistic supply. They don't realize their life stinks. They always think it's great. They talk themselves into it being great at whatever moment they're in, even if deep down inside they hate it. They'll mask it. They'll go out. They'll find fun. They'll be online. They'll get distracted from their own depths of loneliness and despair and mask it with something fun. One flirtatious conversation can entertain somebody for a few hours. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They'll distract themselves. They don't want to, It's fascinating to me too, and the reason I'm making this video is I had the same question. How do they not want a structured, we'll use the term regular life? That's why. They're not built for it. And even if they're married to somebody for 15 years, that wife doesn't have the structured, she didn't tame him. There's not a structured life for her. He's philandering behind her back the whole time. She's holding down the fort, maybe raising the kids and dealing with a narcissistic husband who's gallivanting and misbehaving and breaking laws and, you know what I mean, trying to cheat tax codes and, oh please, I've heard every possible scam. I mean, it's just like disgusting behavior all the way around. Just dishonorable people they are. And they don't want your honorable way that you're probably thinking of living your life. So that could spare you a lot if you wrap your brain around that. And you don't want anything to do with the way they're living their life. I know I don't.